Man, you ready for the tournament?
The tournament? You mean the playoffs?
No, no, no. Tournament now.
Whose idea was that?
The best quarterback ever.
Oh my God, we did it!
My dick is big, my dick is wide, my dick is huge.
That's right. Super Bowl, here we come.
So you're saying there's a chance?
We're ready to tear this baby up.
Why? Good afternoon, football fans, and welcome to the NFL playoffs. We are finally here. We couldn't be more excited. Both of our teams are in the big dance here. It's going to be a good time, hopefully. Welcome. Welcome to the Week 18 edition of the Trajan Sportcast. I am your host, professional wrestler and Kansas City Chiefs fanatic, joined alongside, as always, Christian Temple. That's my name. I've done that a couple times. I don't know why I forget my own name. I just call me Christian Temple, the Chiefs fanatic. Joined alongside, as always, by my good friend, the gallbladderless, backgroundless, but not terrible towelless, Trajan. How are we doing this week, sir? It was kind of a rough week for you a little bit there, wasn't it?
Yep, escaped IR to do the video tonight.
The coach let you in early.
Yep. No, it's a good week in both our kingdoms right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Steelers going in the playoffs, Chiefs in the playoffs yet again. Cold games, NFL football.
It's playoff time, baby. Get excited. Yeah. All right. Well, there are a couple games we need to go through, but there is a lot we got to go through in this week's episode. So buckle in. But we'll start with the game that really didn't mean a whole lot, but you know what? It's still kind of cool to hear it one more time for the regular season. How about those Chiefs? How about that Blaine Gabbert, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, the Chiefs.
Starter.
Right, exactly. Chiefs take care of business against the Los Angeles Chargers, take down a division opponent one more time, 13-12 at SoFi Stadium. I mean, yeah, this game was kind of what you expected between two teams that are, resting most of their starters, even though the one was voluntarily, the other was kind of by force with the injuries they've suffered throughout the season, though. Really, the biggest play in this game was a 97-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown by Mike Edwards, the scoop and score. Once again, the defense stepping up big time when we needed them to. Mecole Hardman being the leading receiver for Kansas City. It's been a while since we've been able to say that. 6 receptions for 77 yards. LaMichael Pirine, the leading rusher for Kansas City, 21 carries for 76 yards. Blaine Gabbert, kind of a mediocre day. Didn't throw any touchdowns, but had a couple key scrambles there. And oh boy, he was, after that second scramble on the game-winning drive, he was starting to feel his age. I could tell. It took him a second to get back up to his feet. But at the end of the day, it came down to the leg of Harrison Butker, puts it through. Chiefs into the season on a winning note, and looking forward to the wild card matchup against the Miami Dolphins, and we'll just go ahead and break that down really quick here. Miami with a loss to the Buffalo Bills in the final week, playing for the AFC East Championship, which I guess that was our prediction, wasn't it, that the Bills would end up taking it? Probably not in these circumstances, but that was kind of how we saw it ending.
Yeah, no, I am glad that the Jaguars lost because the Steelers would have been screwed. But yeah, no, Bills go ahead and take it. They tried to give it away.
Both teams did. Both teams did.
but at the end, I think it's pretty much how everyone expected. I think I got my favorable matchup. I think you got your favorable matchup out of it too. I mean,
yeah,
Bills, they play sloppy football. Dolphins have been playing sloppy football, so it could be beneficial for both of us going in.
Very well could be. So, yep, we'll break down into this more in a little bit, but obviously it's a Tyreek Hill return to Arrowhead, and it's actually also a Justin Houston return to Arrowhead. The Dolphins, a little battered by injury on the defensive side of the ball. They signed Justin Houston. I love him so much. And it's like, dang it. And you know what's even funnier, too? They just announced this. The drum honoree for this week's game, the playoff game, is none other than Justin Houston's best friend and his teammate, Tom Bahali. They're all going to be back together at Arrowhead Stadium. One's going to be on the field in an opposing jersey, and the other's going to be up on the drum deck leading the chop. And oh man, there's a lot of storylines to go into this one, but we'll break that down here momentarily. But you kind of alluded to it beforehand with needing the Jags to lose, which they did. But let's go ahead and switch on over to the Steelers doing what they needed to do, and that was take care of business against the Baltimore Ravens.
So a lot of people will say that we're facing the Ravens backup. I will also say most of our defense was backup on this game too. All of our secondary was pretty much out. We're starting a rookie at cornerback, so there's only so many guys that you can take out in a game. Fortunately for us, they decided Melvin Gordon would be a good guy to run the ball.
I forgot he was a Raven. I forgot he was a Raven.
Fumbling the ball just like he does best, giving it to us. I mean, we did punch it out. It wasn't like he just dropped it, but it was a great day for Najee on the ground, 112 yards.
Yes.
It was a monsoon, so not a lot of passing as you'd expect, but we did get a long touchdown pass to Deontay Johnson, 71 yards, and the tud there. Rudolph, he had some fumbles. Had a fumble. Warren had a fumble a lot. One loss.
Oof.
And it seemed like almost every play it was bobbling. I was like, get him out of there. But overall, we took care of business. The biggest storyline coming out of here, and the one that hurts the most, is TJ Watt. Better news than we expected. It's only a stage 2 MCL sprain, but it still means a couple weeks out. Maybe if we win this game, outside chance of going to Baltimore. But gosh, it would have been a lot better knowing we had him for this game. But yeah, no, overall, our defense stayed dialed in. Offense took care of the job, and here we are. Steelers at the end of the year, in the playoffs, like how things usually are.
Absolutely.
Well, let's hope it's not how it's usually been of late.
Well, you know what they say: the more things change, the more they stay the same, right? So, but speaking of changes, there were some notable changes following Black Monday this season, and I think the funniest one was what happened literally at 12:01 a.m. on Black Monday. Arthur Smith, the first casualty of head coaches being let go. I can just imagine the Falcons organization have the email typed up and ready to send or print or whatever to, and they wait and they wait. It's like midnight. Let's wait one more minute. 12:01. Bam, sent. Immediately. Yep. No hesitation when they were allowed to do so. He is gone out of here, and I'm sure Falcons fans are going to be better for it.
Oh, gosh, yeah. I mean, what a train wreck that's been. They hyped him up so much in the offseason, and just did nothing. I mean, a weak division, too.
That they almost won.
That they almost won. But is it really winning when you're like that record? Is it really considered winning?
You know, it's funny. They had a side-by-side of the Buccaneers record and the Bengals record. Obviously, the Bengals had the worst record in the AFC North, but it was the exact same record as the best team in the NFC South. They were both 9-8. I was like, man, right? It's a great thing in this league.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's almost like playing in the AFC West, that weak division.
Hey, they weren't saying that 2 weeks before the end of the season. But yes, Arthur Smith, the first victim. The next one was a little bit of a surprise. Mike Vrabel being let go by the Tennessee Titans. I mean, yeah, his name was, sort of thrown around there for a little bit, but at the same time, it's like he was definitely an upgrade over Jeff Fisher, that's for sure, especially with the regular season results. obviously the playoff results weren't there for them, except for the one year in 2019 getting to the AFC Championship game. But man, that's like this is the last year for Derrick Henry potentially, for Ryan Tannehill eventually. I mean, this is like the old guard. It's weird to say that because it really hadn't been that long. The old guard of the Titans, it's time for a clean slate, it seems like.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be a change there in Titanland. I don't know if it's for the better though.
That'll be the true question. It's like, will this be a good thing or a bad thing coming through? Kind of minor things. The Bears fired their defensive coordinator. The Jacksonville Jaguars did the same. They fired their defensive coordinator as well. The Saints decided they're going to keep Dennis Allen. But those all...
A lot of Saints fans are not happy about.
Yeah, exactly. But those all pale in comparison to two names. And we'll do this one first. Pete Carroll, no longer the coach for the Seattle Seahawks. Although it's been said that he does not plan to leave the team, he will probably act as an advisor. But that's an end of an era in itself with Coach Carroll.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see him having a really big role. Maybe advisor to hiring the next coach, but I don't see. It'd be weird to have that power dynamic for the next coach if there's the old coach still there as an advisor.
He's been an accomplished pro coach, and he's been a very accomplished college coach as well too. Do we see him maybe going back to his root? Well, not necessarily his roots. He was a pro coach before he went to USC. But do we see him going back to a college program and maybe picking up where he left off?
I think at 72, no. I think if anything, he gets some guest appearances on NFL Network, ESPN, that sort of thing. But I don't see at that age. Now, if he was being let go at 50, yeah, but not at 72.
So the odds are probably the same if I asked if he would potentially take a job as a head coach maybe somewhere.
I just don't see him. I see it more on the next one we're going to talk about than him.
Yes, and that's going to be a very interesting one because this is a true end of an era. 24 long years. Bill Belichick, no longer the head coach of the New England Patriots. I mean, good God, you want to talk about a guy that's, you say his name and you don't really need to say who. His reputation, his resume, everything speaks for itself. God, it's just crazy to think that next year you're gonna see someone else, probably not even in a hoodie, on the sideline. Oh God, I'll laugh so hard if it's Steve Belichick.
Oh God, I think
won't be. It won't be.
Want a clean slate, and I just don't see. I could see Belichick still holding this personal and going to a different team.
Could it be?
My hope is just Chargers for the chaos of it.
Could it be Tampa Bay?
That would be funny.
Keep that tradition alive, huh? So, nope. Easy future Hall of Fame coach Bill Belichick, and I'm sure there's already teams just blowing up his phone trying to get him in. And we said it about Pete Carroll. I mean, hey, if he was to coach, it'd be a reunion with the New England Patriots. Same with Mike Vrabel. If he goes to the Patriots, that's a reunion for him as well too. So a lot of interesting things to look at here in the upcoming offseason. But now it is time to talk about the postseason. It's playoff time, and there's always the thing about the whole script and the script writers and everything too. And you look at some of these matchups and you thinking, there's a lot of stories to tell with these with these matchups here too. So obviously we'll save our games for last year too. But we'll start with the Saturday afternoon matchup. We've got the Cleveland Browns going on the road to the Houston Texans, the rookie quarterback-led AFC South champion Houston Texans. in what is kind of tongue-in-cheek been called the Deshaun Watson Bowl, even though Deshaun Watson will not be involved in any way, shape, or form except on the sideline in this game.
I mean, who knows if he even goes on the sideline. Yeah, no, I mean, really, that trade set the Texans up for this matchup.
Amazing.
I mean, one can argue that the Houston Texans would have been in a much stronger position if they would have just not done the trade. So it's gonna be great.
Exactly. And you've got the old guard with Joe Flacco taking on the fresh young blood of CJ Stroud. You've got it at Houston, Texas, who, the last place you would have thought that a playoff game would be held, considering how things ended up last year. And you're starting with a rookie quarterback, and you're starting to scratch, brand new coach, brand new system and everything too. And here they are. And next year they're set, because they've got $72 million in cap space. So they're going to go out. They're going to go all in building this team around C.J. Stroud. I mean, their defense has been solid, even with the veteran pieces they have there. I mean, I think I could see this being a defensive struggle, but at the end of the day, I think the Texans, their firepower, I think, might just be a little too much for the Browns.
See, I'm the opposite on that one. I think, yeah, the rookies played very well, but Joe Flacco's playing very good ball.
Mm-hmm.
They've been putting up some points, and that defense is just really good. I think that pass rush is going to get to C.J. Stroud, and I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, because this could very well be the matchup going to your guys' house.
It very well could in the next round, pending the Chiefs' victory. And then, and they're showing the Cleveland Browns as 2-point favorites going into this as well. So also something to keep in mind there too. Joe Flacco, as you mentioned, a lot of playoff experience there too. So it's a great way to start the playoffs, because that'll be a fun game to get your appetite wet for what's to come later on in the weekend, the Super Wild Card weekend.
Super.
Alrighty. Well, man, this is going to be a fun one too, because this takes me back to 2016. The Green Bay Packers going on the road to the mighty Dallas Cowboys, except the coach that was on the sideline in 2016 for the Packers is now on the sideline for the Dallas Cowboys. And I'll tell a little bit of a story here, and I know Trajan will like this story. So 2016 divisional playoffs, the Chiefs were playing the Steelers. I won't go into who ended up winning that game. That's irrelevant. But going into that game, my dad and I, we get in our seat. We're getting ready to go, and they have the playoff game going up on the big board, the Jumbotron. It's the final 2 minutes of the Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers. The Cowboys that year, 15-1, a heck of a season in the regular season. The Packers, not favored at all to win this game. They're kind of looked upon, and that great catch, the toe tap on the sideline to set up for that game-winning field goal. And I will say this is because it's absolutely hilarious. There were a lot of Chiefs fans. There were quite a few Steelers fans in that game too. But when that field goal went through the uprights and the Packers beat the Dallas Cowboys, everyone in that stadium cheered when they saw the Cowboys got taken down by the Packers. And that was just so funny when that happened. It was that one brief moment where friend and foe, we all came together to say, yes, the Cowboys are out once again. And here we are, a rematch 8 years later. The Cowboys, obviously, strong defense. Dak Prescott having a career year this year. The Green Bay Packers, the biggest weakness is definitely their defense. As much as I'd like to see it, especially with Dallas 7-point favorites, I don't see history repeating itself. I think Dallas gets the win and goes on to the next round.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle with this one because it'd be hilarious to see Green Bay beat Dallas, but at the same time, it'll be funnier if they get beat by the 49ers.
keep that tradition going, right? Probably so. So, But yep, 7-point favorites, Dallas Cowboys. They'll probably take care of business pretty handily with the Green Bay Packers. Although, hats off to Jordan Love. People had a lot of doubts about him coming into this year, and he has a chance to prove himself in the bright spotlight of the playoffs. So, we'll see how that turns out for him.
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, the next we've got the Matt Stafford Bowl, and kind of the Jared Goff Bowl too, because he used to play for the Rams. The LA Rams going to Detroit, going to Ford Field. The first time a playoff game is being held at Ford Field. That's not a Super Bowl. An actual playoff game being held there. What a season for the Detroit Lions. I mean, last year you had a whiff. You had a whiff of what this team could possibly do. And they never gave up. Dan Campbell pedaled to the metal this year too, and they took the division. They ripped it away from the Minnesota Vikings, even though the Vikings kind of tripped over themselves and kind of fumbled it to them, but still. What incredible season by the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff playing amazing. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Pro Bowl type year. Defense for the Detroit showing up when it meant the most. But you can't forget about the Super Bowl 56 champion LA Rams. They had the Super Bowl hangover last year. It was a tough year for them, but now they're back in action, and it's a homecoming. It's a homecoming for one of the best quarterbacks that Detroit ever had in Matt Stafford, but he's going to be on the opposite side. This is going to be tough to call, honestly, because the Rams have been feisty with the Puka Nakuas of the world. Their defense has been stepping up. I mean, God, they got Detroit's 3-point favorites, but this one's tough to call. This could be a coin flip.
Yeah, I mean, with how the secondary's got done against top receivers, and the Rams having 2, it's not a favorable matchup for the Lions.
Brian Branch can only do so much.
Yeah. Ooh.
So yeah, this could be a coin flip. But although it would be pretty wholesome to see the Detroit Lions finally get their first playoff win since 1993. I mean, good God. I mean, you talk about how the Chiefs were the drought that they had in the playoffs for years and years, and Detroit is right now the worst, and I can only imagine how heartbreaking it would be for the Rams to come in, especially Matt Stafford ending the Lions' hopes and dreams. That would just be, you need a lot of therapy for that one.
The only thing worse would be if Megatron was on the Rams as well.
Oh Lord.
Oh God.
Barry Sanders in the backfield. Just bring out all the legends for the Lions, right?
Honorary retires for the Rams.
Oh God. Yep. All right. And then Monday Night Football. This will probably be a blowout, honestly. As much as the Eagles have been struggling, I can see this being the get-right matchup for them too. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I mean, they're playing with some grit.
Good defense.
Well, yeah, but I mean, God, the way they played against Carolina this last week, it's like, are they really ready for the playoffs? I mean, guess we'll find out. It'll be at it'll be at Tampa Bay, at least for them.
I mean, someone had to win the South, and I guess this isn't a bad route for the Eagles. If you're not going to have the home game, you might as well play Tampa Bay.
There you go. Might as well. At home with Baker Mayfield, right?
With Baker Mayfield.
Philadelphia listed as 3-point favorites on here. Philly has been pretty suspect these last few weeks, but like I said, I could see this being a get-right game for them. I'm not going to say I'm favorable towards Tampa Bay taking down Philly this week. That'd be a lot of things would have to go wrong for Philly, which they have, and a lot of things would have to go right for Tampa, which they could. So we shall see how that goes. But that leads us to Saturday night on frickin' Peacock. And I'm going to go on a rant here for a second. Are you freaking kidding me, NFL? Are you freaking kidding me? You got to make people pay for the fact they got to watch a playoff game, and you had to pick the Dolphins versus the Chiefs. Are you freaking kidding me? And this is going to piss me off even more because this is going to be the norm now. This is going to happen from now on for the next several years, this is going to happen. The Super Bowl is going to be on frickin' Peacock or Paramount Plus. So just stop it. Don't do this to the fans. It's only going to make them angry, especially with the fact that people that stream the game on Peacock, or not this game, but the Dolphins-Bills game, there were thousands of people, hundreds of people saying the streaming was buffering and having trouble. What do you think is going to happen with millions more watching a playoff game all on the same stream? It's not going to get any better. I'll tell you that much. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. Maybe it'll be worth it, but I doubt it. So, all right, I got that out of my system. The real story of the game. The Dolphins coming to Kansas City. It should have happened earlier in the season, but that was the Germany game. But more important than that, the return of the Cheetah, one of the greatest wide receivers in Kansas City Chiefs history. Arguably, maybe the greatest. It's going to be a homecoming for one Tyreek Hill. And you know what? I wasn't one of those guys that like held it against Tyreek Hill for leaving. He wanted to get paid, and one thing I will say, Chiefs offered him a lot of money. It was pretty competitive, all things considered. But he wanted to get the most, and this was the time to do so. He had taken less in the past to stay with Kansas City. So nope. I commend him for that. But he got his ring. He wanted to get paid, and especially after what happened with his home and everything too. And thank God everyone was okay in that instance. He deserved it. He deserved to get the contract that he earned here. But now is the test, because everyone said that the Chiefs were worse off with Tyreek Hill. They said Tyreek Hill made Patrick Mahomes. The argument can be made that Tyreek Hill made Tua Tagovailoa, or is one of the main reasons Tua is one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. But now Tua has a chance, since he couldn't last year. He's got a chance to prove it in the playoffs this year. And this time it's going to be on the road, and it's going to be cold. It's going to be freezing at Arrowhead Stadium. So now's the time for Tua. He's, the Hawaiian boy. Goes from Hawaii down to Alabama, down to Miami. This is going to be his biggest test of his young career. I'm sure he welcomes the challenge. I'm sure Mike McDaniel welcomes the challenge, and I know Tyreek Hill is going to. Kansas City, for weeks on end, has had games slip out of their own grasp by their own undoing. Now is the time to prove all the doubters wrong, to prove to everyone that they still have what it takes to make it back to the Super Bowl, even without Tyreek Hill, even though they did it last year and they won the Super Bowl without Tyreek, but we're not talking about that.
Well, they had Juju Smith-Schuster.
Who? They have the opportunity now to rewrite everything that happened in the regular season and take the next step to getting back-to-back Super Bowl titles. So it's all on them now. It's cold, it's freezing, it's playoff weather, baby. So now is their opportunity. Chiefs, 5-point favorites coming in here. But it's going to be a ground and pound game. Isaiah Pacheco, this is your opportunity now. Chiefs a little banged up on the offensive line. Dolphins definitely banged up on their defensive side. So something's got to give this week. And I got to say, when the 5 teams were presented the possibilities to play in Kansas City, the Dolphins were the highest on my list. This was the game that I wanted to see live from the beginning of the season when they announced the schedules, and I was very bummed that it got moved to Germany. Unfortunately, I will not be able to go to Arrowhead to see this game. I will be competing for Heartland Championship Wrestling. The massive legend Justin Gray and I will be defending our tag team titles against ACFC, but we'll definitely have the game on in the locker room, that's for sure.
Oh, yes.
But my final word on that, let's go Chiefs. Prove them wrong. Let's go get this win. All right. Which that leaves us to
is texting you updates like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened."
You won't have to because I'll be watching it the whole time. They're gonna have it in the locker room and so. And plus, my cameraman will have my phone anyway, so I won't be able to get any texts anyway. I appreciate it, though. Thank you. I'm sure there was no ill will in that sentiment there.
No, no.
Alrighty. Well, they scratched, they clawed, they played their hearts out, and by golly, they got in.
Yes. I mean, Steelers, Mike Tomlin, it had to be this way. We're going to fight to get in. We have to do it the hard way. It can never be easy. And here we are with a banged up secondary, a third string quarterback in Mason Rudolph. But hey, we found a way. And most of it is because of Najee Harris and Warren, the two-headed monster that have just been pounding the rock. And guess what? It's going to be a snow-cold game in the Bills. I wonder what happened last time we played the Bills in the snow game. Oh, yeah, that's right. Le'Veon Bell did like 300 yards against them. Mm-hmm. So, I'm looking forward to that. I think that we could stop their run game. Cook has played very well, but I think we can limit that. I think this is ultimately going to come down to who makes the least amount of mistakes. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. And I think this could be an upset. I think this is like the recipe for the Steelers to win. And I like it.
You like being the underdog, right?
I like being the underdog. I hate being the favorite because it always fails us.
Do you like being the 10-point underdog though?
You know what? They had us underdogs last week with out Lamar Jackson in there. They've had us underdogs this whole year, to be completely honest. I mean, the biggest thing, I see why we are, it's TJ Watt's out. If TJ Watt's in here, I say, it says right now 23% chance of us winning. I'd say that push us up close to 30. But yeah, I like it. I think that we could surprise some people. Hopefully we come in prepared. It's going to be a hard-fought game. I'm sure we're going to see 50 million references to both Tomlin and what's his name, both being roommates in college, and all that information. But I think the Steelers could win this game. I think it's lining up perfect.
There you go. All righty. Well, I did like the tweet that J.J. Watt put out there, too. It's like, you think they'll notice if he stepped in TJ's place? I'm sure he's been staying in shape and everything, right?
I'm sure he has. TJ works out with JJ, so...
I mean, worst case scenario, you get Derek Watt back.
I mean, we could. I think with Highsmith, a lot of people underestimate Highsmith. Mm-hmm. I think with Highsmith in there... the offensive line for the Bills have played very well. I think they've allowed the least amount of sacks this year. So I don't think that's going to be the biggest factor. I think it's just going to be if our line stays disciplined and stops that run game where it puts it on the arm of Josh Allen in bad environment to throw the ball. And put all your coverage on Diggs and see if he throws an interception.
There you go. All righty. Well, football season is coming to a close here very soon. It's you hate to see it go, but man, with the playoffs coming up, you're gonna love to watch it leave. A lot of fun matchups coming up this weekend. We will be back next week to cover the Super Wildcard Weekend and preview the divisional rounds. But we would love to hear from you down below. Who you think's moving on? Who you think's coming home? Are there any predictions on what coaching changes could happen this coming year? We'd love to hear from you on any single topic revolving around the NFL. So leave your comments down below. But thank you, everybody, so much for watching. Thank you all for have joined us every single step of the way for the regular season. We look forward to seeing you all in the playoffs. This is Temple and Trajan, signing off.
And in the words of Jamar Chase, anyone but the Chiefs.